And yet, there are some that continue to play the same song over and over. In fact, there's no improvement. It seems like you're sliding backwards. And I pain for you. I pain for your family because I know what's at stake. Because you keep on feeding to the weaker version, the one that gets destroyed when something bad happens, that doesn't rise up to fight and realize this is life. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. Go ahead and check in if you're here with me, and I really want to thank you for joining me as you have other things to do on this holiday weekend, and I'm glad you're here with me. And I wanted to postpone this till tomorrow. I wanted to maybe think about what I wanted to talk about, but there was a message that was just right on my heart and soul. It was there, and I kept on getting reminded here in the last week to 2 weeks where I think it's going to be a type of mindset mastery that's going to make you change some behaviors. Because, as I start reflecting on my own trajectory, as I start reflecting on my own life, I realize that there's different versions of me. There's the weaker, timid version of me, the angry, frustrated, scared, defeated version of me, the distant, depressed, worried version of me. And then there's the opposite of that, the strong and powerful me, the one that makes decisions, the one that's happy and certain, the one that's confident, the one that wants to improve on himself every day, the wise one, right? There's a complete opposite of versions, of the different versions of me. And each one requires deposits. You just don't become weak. It's a process of becoming weak. You don't become strong. It's the work towards becoming strong. And I think that we just have to become aware of where we're at today, right? And we have decisions. There's always that, version of us that wants to take the easier path, the path that doesn't require the work, that you could give in to temptations and mediocrity. And then there's a stronger version of you, that the one that wakes up and understands that even though you don't feel like doing certain things, you do it either way. The one that fights, the one that tries to improve on his relationships, on his communication with his kids, on the skill sets for his business. And we all have these different versions, but just over the last couple of weeks, and I even sent my coach a text today, and it was just so much appreciation in my heart and soul. I took this photo of me and my kids over the weekend, and I'm just so proud of being there every day to coach and to mentor them, to point them in the right direction, to bond and to talk to them. And that version almost didn't happen. The version of me that I'm now realizing these benefits almost didn't happen. It really baffles my mind that I was at a certain point where I was so weak and so desperate and so afraid and just so discontent with my life that I was prepared to walk away from my family. And what a shame that would have been, right? What a shame, because everything from that decision would have just disappeared. Everything that I have today would have disappeared if I would have gone in with the weaker version of myself, because I didn't believe in myself, because I thought everything was outside of my control. I blamed the entire world. I blamed Carla. I blamed my kids. I blamed everyone except for myself. And that is a version of me that came this close to walking away. And now I see our bond and I'm like, wow. There was a chance where I couldn't have experienced this. And last week we had 2 sales meetings, and I'm standing in front of just some powerful individuals, powerful men and women for our mid-year review. And I'm standing and I'm teaching and I'm engaging, and I'm like, if I would have given up on myself, none of this would have been possible. There was a better version of me, but I was operating the weaker version of myself. And just a week before that, I had people fly in from all over the country that, are leaders in their own respective markets, have agents from 50 agents to 100 plus agents that are wanting to raise the bar in their respective markets to become a better version of themselves. They're not content with where they're at today. They want to make a bigger impact. And it's just wouldn't have been possible if I decided to give in to the temptations and the mediocrity and the thoughts in my head that created anxiety and depression. That's a version of me that I fight to keep at bay every single day. And I have more abilities today, financial abilities, to take my foot off the pedal, but yet I remember those pains. I remember the cost and the consequences that would have come from that. I had this picture I put up last week. I have no shirt on. But it had nothing to do with, showing off my body, but just the work that it took to get there, that it takes every single day. I'm going on 44. And I'm feeling great. But there's an opposite version of that, the one that used to overdrink, that didn't take care of his body, where I would literally describe the heartburn every time I had a beverage, an alcoholic beverage in my hand, and yet I wouldn't stop. That was a version of me that was oblivious, where I was poisoning my body. It was actually rejecting that, and yet I didn't stop. And as we start analyzing our actions and thoughts, there are things that are literally being rejected by your body, and yet you don't stop. There are things that are being rejected in your relationships, in your business, and yet you don't stop. We got to be able to see a greater version of ourselves. My daughter, and recently, even with Carla and I, hanging out, communicating, talking. We're literally Carla and I are hanging out, and we're like, this is so much fun. Where we're in each other's company. Over 20 years together, right? 23 years together. 19 years married. And this almost wasn't possible if I would have stepped with a weaker version of myself. If I would have given in to the weaker version of myself. A great lifestyle requires a powerful you. The one that doesn't give up. The one that fights for it. And there's different versions of ourselves every single day, and we choose. We choose what side we're going to go into. The weaker side or the stronger side. We're going to give into the temptations and the fun, or the work and the connection. I was tired of walking around with this guilt that I wasn't a good enough father, a good enough businessman, that I was a weak husband. I hated that guilt. I hated beating myself up every single day. So I decided to do something about it. I started taking steps to the stronger version of myself. Not the best version. I am not in the best version of myself right now. That's what gets me up each and every day, because I know there's more. There's more within me. But I took steps for the stronger version, the wiser version, the more patient person that I can become. And this message was just resonated with me all week. And I see Jermaine walk in. One of our agents here, he's an associate and a friend of mine, who's become a friend of mine. He walks in and he has this smile on his face. He looks certain. He looks powerful. He looks committed. And I compared it to the version of him I knew just a few years ago. The timid version of Jermaine. The 300-pound version of Jermaine. He's literally over 100 pounds lighter, stronger, powerful. You can sense his energy. But that's just a fraction of who he is. The wisdom, the conversations, the time he took to develop himself, to lean in with his family, the father he's become. Because he decided to lean into the better version, the stronger version of himself day in and day out. This didn't happen overnight. He didn't just think about it and wished it came together. It was years in the making. But he's radically different. And he got to choose. Do I continue to choose the easy, the weaker version of myself, or the more stronger and powerful version of myself. And the results are radically different. The quality of lifestyle is radically different. And what's beautiful about this whole process is that it's available to everyone. Every one of us has this ability to choose. And yet, there are some that continue to play the same song over and over. In fact, there's no improvement. It seems like you're sliding backwards. And I pain for you. I pain for your family because I know what's at stake. Because you keep on feeding to the weaker version, the one that gets destroyed when something bad happens, that doesn't rise up to fight and realize this is life. And you can handle it. You can overcome it. But it seems impossible because all you may be doing is depositing to the weaker version of yourself. That's why it seems impossible. But we all have an opportunity today to make those necessary deposits. And that's the only pressure I'm going to put for you or to you. It's just today. I don't care about days and weeks and months and years, just today. And then tomorrow, I present you the same opportunity. It's just deposit to the better version. Make better decisions towards your parenting, towards your marriage, towards yourself. Become aware. We have this ability within us. The greater version is waiting for us. I'm just so happy, like the decisions I made over the years, because I'm benefiting from this. I can't tell you like how happy I am to like spend this time with my family, with my kids. Like we're bonded. The guilt I used to feel about not being there just required me to take action. The pains you feel of not being where you need to be financially just requires you to take action. The body you desire just requires you to take action. Not just for a short period of time, all the time, every day, better version of you. As we're going out to lunch yesterday, my daughters, they're riding with us. I have a 17-year-old and 13-year-old. They like to be independent, right? They're always driving on their own car. They'll meet us at restaurants. They'll meet us at places we're going to. But yesterday, they were with us, all four of us in a car. And I got an opportunity to talk to my daughters. And I asked them, just plain and simple, am I doing a good job as a dad? And it was no hesitation. They said, yes, Dad. You're a great dad. And again, there's room for improvement. It's not the best version of me as a father, but it's a much greater version than what I used to be. And then I went in a little step deeper. And I said, what would you tell other dads out there that don't have this type of relationship with their kids? What would you tell them? And my eldest chimed in right away. She said, communicate. Just check in on them. Text them to see what they're up to, who they're with, just to see if everything is okay. Just to let them know that they're on your mind. And I thought that was profound. I thought that was beautiful. So simple, right? Let them know that they're on your mind. Let them know that you care. Communicate. My 13-year-old chimes in. She says, kind of like what we're doing right now, Dad. Just hanging out. Invite us to places. Invite them to places. And just ask us what we like, what we're up to, what music we're listening to. It's so simple, right? And if we translate this to marriage, it's the same thing. It's not avoiding or being oblivious to the things that are important to you. We take this to the business and it's the same thing. Do you care about your business? And what are you doing about it? Are you learning something new when it comes to marketing, sales, systems, how to lead your business forward? Instead of resenting it all the time, being upset with it, do something about it. Stop feeling defeated. Feel powerful. Know that you have everything within you to take it to the next level. I could have walked around with all that guilt, or I could have done something about it. I could have gave in. We could have got divorced. Or I could have had a marriage on fire. I choose the latter. And you have that decision today. You have that decision every day. I got to tell you, I'm proud of my life. I'm not trying, I hope you never take this as me bragging, because that's not the intention of this. I'm asking you to rise with me. I was in this place of despair and dysfunction. It's like I love my life, but I had to work my ass off for it. So look around you, your family, your business. Embrace it. Do something about it. Make it work for you. Enjoy it. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.